urgently on some leading mental intelligence in the backdrop before all of this shit. Don't use race as a card. I'm not saying any race. I don't believe racism exists in a real esoteric lens. Original open source and stuff. For a better solution. That's ironic as fuck. And I'm chilling because I know God's balance. And this is just a different pressure, outlet pathway that the human signed up for. So, we could come back to a higher intelligence and in seeing a certain resolute that, or a certain mission where we could stop complaining, right? Spiritually speaking, right? So racism doesn't exist like that in a different backdrop. All it really is hard resonance. If you're experiencing to be one race in this lifetime and you were different quote unquote races in different lifetimes, that could be proven through you and the dreams and just shared witnessing. That's the real fucking proof, because obviously someone's gonna say in your little baby ass butthole debates, how could you prove it? Well, the essence of proving it is to witness it yourself, and then to amplify the witness and the proof itself is collective testimonies. So all debates will be fucking obsolete, and your intelligence is just kind of outdated on, like, in general fucking theatrics of politics from the past. I'm not in the present. It is progressing. There is obviously there is faith to be fucking funneled into that shit, and obviously like the concern here is like how it's getting transferred, because obviously it can't, the copy and paste methods, that's not necessarily going to stop. But what can stop is the halting of an energy supply. For example, someone could halt a gas supply. That's just one example of many. And then that certain activity gets to be shut down because the halt of an energy supply is there. And once that happens, it's because it needs a break, because people are over abusing that shit. So that's why things come to a halt. So for me to fucking say it, and my other underground shit that you have never peeped, and if you've peeped it in the background because of some different channel, then that's simultaneously not delegated, and maybe it is delegated. So it's up to me to prove, or it's up to me to see, or I guess and low-key we're all doing it. We're all low-key looking for quote unquote God's proof, end quote. We just want to be cognitive dissonant about it for whatever the fucking reason it is. I don't know. But the thing is, within this message is, don't use your race as a card. What does that mean? Don't use your race as a card, meaning, and I'm not pointing out any race. If you're privileged in your geographical demographic, right, then you could sway other people to conform to what you are based on your just temporary lucky privilege and whatever, the popularized, quote unquote ethnicity is there. That's how people could use racism and race as a card based on the popular ethnicity, and them swaying other people to think like them based on how they could just use that as a psychological tactic to just get their way in any circumstance. Because people are there's honestly, on some energetic shit, there is some psychopaths out there, duh. And I'm just saying it standardly and energetically. So it has nothing to do with race. Racism doesn't exist. It's hard resonance. So it's not about feeling sorry that you're this race or that race. No, but the opposing party, or quote unquote enemies, end quote, they could use that race as one of many psychological tactics for them to sway the other people, and even make up stories about other opposing people, and just use that as a card for them to advance in life, when that's not really the case at all. It's totally false. It's totally a lie, using race as a card. Because if you use race as a card, if you're using race as a card, it's not true. Why isn't it true? Because within the reincarnation mechanics of different higher cyclical orbits, we come to be a new thing. And if that is so, we're becoming to be a new thing, then someone could advance their way in life in the 3D by using one of many tactics to say that, this person's hating this race, when that's not the case at all. There's a bigger, more relevant, balanced story going on, and that's not the case at all. For someone could say like we just got to figure out how do we really spot people from like starting fucking conflict from lies. That's the thing right there. So and obviously everyone's in different positions. I'm obviously aware of that, but you're not in a certain position where you're going against that, so you wouldn't understand. So everybody has mental blind spots, right? There's a mental blind spot because people don't see that other people could use certain cards, race cards, to advance their way in life and downplay others. And that's completely an illusion, has nothing to do with so one of the concluding points here is it has nothing to do with race at all. It's just a hard spiritual resonance. We're incarnating into a life that our soul wants to partake in that genetics, and we're not really necessarily aware of the challenge. And then we're growing through that challenge. We're identifying with that challenge, and we're over-identifying with the challenge. And then we get lost in that individualized shit that we originally signed up for on some deep spiritual shit. So race doesn't exist. It's just hard resonance. That's all it is. It's not, even the blacks versus the whites shit or thing. In my humble perspective, I think that's completely fake. I think it's just like some type of narrative, or like anybody versus anybody. Any race versus anybody is completely fake. It doesn't have to be black versus dubs. It's honestly, on a different side note, it's really low key. The real sophisticated logistic here is like of spirituality is it's low key in the new underground or the new days. It's, are you going for real cosmic balance and order, or for some fucking weird reason are you against that original cosmic balance and order? And if you are, then a bunch of different new narratives and quote unquote players end quote are smack dab like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, metaphorical peanut butter and jelly sandwich. The schmuckers,
that could be.
They're in the filling. They're in the smack dab filling on a polarity energy note. They're in the smack dab in that particular example. The particular example being us barely kind of sniffing towards, a forgotten idea of quote unquote cosmic balance and order, end quote. So that's just a fanciful idea to us. So that's the thing. We're just like, for some reason, I'm not saying anybody's necessarily immature or mature, but we could just be like jokingly like having a jokeful reply to that type of shit, like what is he talking about? Cosmic balance and order. No, that's a thing. And another intellectual discovery thing here is quote unquote genius discovery, end quote, is us realizing there's a particular anti to that shit just because of God's crazy ass game. And then all the other quote unquote entities, deities, end quote, they're using those energies and evolving with those energies standardly, not good, not bad, just recognizing that. And then we come from those beings. You have the best life ever. Balance be with you.